Okay, so I'm going to talk through the key factors that we need to consider when we're thinking of growing a business. I'm going to touch on a couple of things. So the five factors that we need to successfully grow a business. I'm going to then talk about how to manage the growth. And then I'm also going to share with you an opportunity that's available at the moment in terms of funding for support. So first, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Alleyne, and I'm a scale-up coach with New Level Results. And I've been working with businesses over the last sort of 6 or 7 years and helping them to grow their business to levels that perhaps they never thought possible. I'm part of a group, I'm a licensed coach with an organisation, New Level Results. And New Level Results have been in business for nearly 10 years now. And what we do is we work with business growth, scale up. We run wellness programs, bounce back programs, and leadership development programs. We've over a period we've helped over 100 companies in the UK to scale up, and that number is actually probably double that now. Our clients have won awards, so we've coached clients that have won Guinness Book of Records, which I can talk to you more about, but I won't do that today. We have secured over £15 million worth of funding, and we've created over 300, and again, that number will have changed now, but over 300 jobs in the time that we've been servicing our clients. And we have a coaching methodology that works. And the secret behind it is we've developed a piece of software which supports our coaching called the Curve. And what the Curve allows us to do, it allows us to track every intervention that we do with a client. So whether the trackable metric is something like, whether it's something like growth, so it could be to double the turnover in a company, or it could be to increase the headcount in a company, or it could be something like changing the culture within a company. Whatever that metric is, and whatever the importance is to that client, we can track it, and we have a way of monitoring the progress so that we know at any time, at any given point, how we're actually doing and how our coaching intervention is impacting on the client. Which is, again, we've also we've been recognised by the Scale Up Institute for 2 years running. We were featured by them in their annual report, and we were given exemplar status to our programme, which was, in short, like a company to watch or a one to watch, who were producing results, and those results were measurable. We were able to document them, and we were able to show that actually, when you invest, we can prove return on investment. So that's the kind of level that we've been able to get to with our coaching process. So what I'm going to talk about now is, when we're thinking about growing a business, the first thing to think about is it the right time? And how would you work out whether it's the right time or not to grow your business? So one factor is there enough demand? So is the demand for your products or service? And you know, the problem that you solve, are there enough people out there that want it? Is there a market demand for it? Are you turning business down? So are you in a position where you're thinking about, you're running your company, but you're not necessarily pushing the button on your marketing or on your advertising, because you're thinking if you do, you may not be able to handle that business or cope with that business. So are you in some ways slowing your business down? And if you are, then this is a signal that actually you may, it could be right for you to consider growth. Do you have the right infrastructure? So do you have the things in place for your business in order to, if everything goes well and then we hit the button, would your infrastructure cope with the influx of new business, or would it crack? Are there any potential bottlenecks, or are there things that you would need to attend to first before you actually did that? Do you have the processes in place? Do you have the right training? So can people come into your business and understand what you do as a business? Do you have the policies and procedures in place? So any kind of any thing that you do, or process that you do, or rules that you pass in your business, does everybody know what they are, and are they present? Do you have a proven concept? So again, when we're thinking about solving a problem, do you have a way of solving a problem which is proven, so that you could say to a client or potential client that actually the problem that you've got, I have a proven concept and a proven way of solving that problem. Do you know what your customers want? So it's interesting talking about, just in the breakout room, we were talking about how things have changed dramatically over this period. And actually, are we in danger of moving too far in the direction of the virtual world and actually not catering for what certain people in our community want? One of the examples of that was Kodak, a massive business going out of business because they didn't listen to the customers. They don't know they didn't listen to or ask their customers what they want, and didn't quite embrace the digital technology that was out there, and subsequently paid the price. So do you know what your customers want? And do you have a plan? You know, the biggest thing around any sort of business growth or strategy is we need to have a plan, a well thought out plan, well documented plan, so that we know where we're going and what direction we're traveling in. And more importantly, that we understand and we know when we actually get there. And are you ready? Another thing to consider is, whilst we have a plan and a strategy for business, when we take a business from one level to another, what generally is required as well is that us as people, we need to be ready for that. So how we run our business now at the level it is now will be different to how we run it when we've grown that business. So we need to be sure internally that we're actually ready to make that transition ourselves, because we need to become the person who can run that business. So in terms of 5 factors for growth then, having a clear vision. So what does a great vision look like? And it's a question that I ask clients all the time. Is I want them to think about, and it's not often done as well, because if you think about it as a business owner, what can happen is we spend so much time in the business and thinking about all the problems that we need to solve, that it's rare that we take our head up and actually consider where it is that we're going, and if we're on track there. You know, have we made the progress that we want to make? So, you know, what does a great vision look like? So at the beginning of any relationship that I would have with anybody, I'd want that to be clarified. And I think if it's something that you're thinking about, we need you to think about really itemizing what good looks like and what success would look like, so that you know when you've got there, and so that anybody that you're working with knows that you've got there. And then the second thing with that is, once you've identified that, you can then look at and ask yourself, well, what needs to happen for this to become a reality? So what things do we need, and what things do we need to put in place? And then at that point, we can start plotting backwards then. If this is the vision, so the vision is this business is going to double in turnover. So for that to be a reality, what would need to happen? And it might be that in terms of personnel, well, we can't run that business with the current personnel. Or it might be that actually we're not generating enough business to double that turnover. So therefore we need to look at how we market, how we do our sales. So it's having that clear vision which will help you shape what you actually do in terms of tasks and what goals you'll actually set. So in order to bring that vision alive. And that's why it's vitally important that we actually clarify the vision before we embark on any journey. So having a set of values and being clear about them. It's hard to deliver a vision without having a values-based business. Often, as human beings, we'll make decisions based on the way that we feel. Now, there's a big difference between if you make a decision based on the way that you feel and making a decision which is value-based. because your values, whether they're your individual values or company values, they're solid and they're rigid and they're there for a reason. They're there because they're the DNA of, if it's personal, it's you, or if it's the business, it's the values that underpin the business. So actually having those sets of values can drive the decisions that we make. And it can also move us away from making decisions based on emotion and actually making more concrete decisions which help to support the business by making values-based decisions and allowing the values that we have to drive the decisions that we make. At any point while I'm talking, because I would just talk, at any point while I'm talking, if somebody wants to ask a question, feel free. Either, I think you can press the emoji and put a hand up and I'll stop, or just unmute your microphone and I'll probably notice that too. So the next thing we want to look at is we need a strategy. So how do we, when we have an idea, so as a business owner, we've got an idea we've got a vision, we've decided on a set of values, and we may discuss that with the team and the people that we're with. We now need a strategy. So we now need to work out how we're going to deliver that vision. And we can have the best strategy in the world, but if we can't get people to feed into that strategy and we can't get people to align with that strategy, then we're going to have a big issue in delivering it. So what we need is a way of being able to hold people to account to deliver it. So part of the strategy is bringing the vision alive, but also it's how do we actually hold people to account. And in terms of the curve, which is one of the secrets to our success, one of the things it's fantastic at is holding people to account. Because we chart everything that we do. People are asked to do things, and they're held account at the end. And every time we have meetings, they're held account to, did you do that? Didn't you do it? And if not, why not? So it's one of those things that creates no hiding place. So the next consideration for us, hang on, is getting the right people. So what we don't want to do is cut costs on people. We want to make sure we've got the right piece of people in the business. We don't want square pegs in round holes. Oftentimes, I've worked with companies that have people that have been in the business for quite some time and decide that actually they've got a plan, they've got a vision, they've worked out the strategy, but now they're just going to move some people around in the business to try and deliver that. And oftentimes it doesn't work. And that's because it's a false economy. What we want is the right people for the right job. And we don't really want to be falling into the mistake of trying to make things fit when they don't really fit. The next thing that we really need is alignment. And I've kind of touched on that briefly before, but in terms of alignment, when we have a team of people or a group of people, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, and key alignment is having people pulling in the right direction. And one of the things that we always point out is there is a difference, and we call it a red arrow team and a green arrow team. Now, a red arrow team is a team that has certain people in the business that are pulling in the right direction, but it might have one or two people pulling in a slightly different direction. Now, if that happens, that team can't perform at the highest level. It can't outperform a green arrow team. And what we say is the only way to outperform a green arrow team is to become one. So you have to have everybody in that team pulling in the right direction. Now, as part of our growth support, what we'll be doing is looking at all the things that hold the team back and working out, getting the voices of all the key players within a team and working out what it is that's going to get them behind the vision and get them to be aligned. Because we know that if we have anybody, even if it's one person pulling in another direction, then we've now got a red arrow team rather than a green arrow team. So the focus would be to get everybody pulling in the right direction so that we can start to perform and start to outperform. So, Bill, just confirm how long we've got. if you can hear me.
Yeah, a minute or so, please.
Okay, so they're the 5 key factors that I would say that we need to really focus in on. Ask yourself those questions, and you may need support to answer those questions within your team or the people around you, but make sure you've answered those questions, and you can then look at actually, yes, here's some of the gaps that we need to plug before we start looking at actually making decisions and steps forward to making our business bigger, faster, before we're actually ready for that to happen. I want to just move to here to say to you, at the minute we have a business support program, which is at the moment it's fully funded. It's in conjunction with working with the Business Growth Hub, and it's supporting businesses to not only grow but to get through if we find ourselves in a period of being in emergency, recovery, sustainability, anywhere on that spectrum. It's helping people move through that into a position of sustainability and then getting them ready for the growth that we've just talked about. So I'm Alleyne, and that was my presentation on how and the things that we need to think about when we're considering growing our business.